So let's go ahead and get started. My name again is Colleen Garrity, and I will be your presenter today on managing and reducing debt. I also have on the line with me, who will be speaking a little bit later about all the wonderful things going on at LAPFCU, is Sylvia Becerra, who is the Consumer Lending Supervisor at LAPFCU. Sylvia, are you there?
I'm here.
Wonderful,
yes,
thank you. And also, I'm excited to have Natalie Nanas on the line with LAPFCU as well. And she's going to monitor your questions. There's a question box. And if you have any questions during the presentation, by all means, type them in. We'll try to get them at the end of the presentation. But if it's important, she's going to interrupt me and ask. I mean, if it's something we have to handle right then. But we will get to as many of your questions as we possibly can as time allows, because we really want to be respectful to your time as well. Natalie, are you there?
I sure am. Hi, everyone.
Well, thank you. But mainly, I want to welcome you and congratulate you for taking this step to reduce your debt. But I do have a poll for you. I've got a question for you guys. So if you guys could just answer me, how much debt do you have? No one else is going to know what your answer is going to be. But if you could just answer, how much debt do you have? Is it under 5,000, between 5,000 and 10, over 10,000, or you just don't know? You really don't know how much debt you have. You could go ahead and just check the box. Okay. I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and share the poll now. And as you can see, it's all over the board. A lot of you are over 10,000. And that's okay. You know, you got there. We're going to find ways, or we're going to show you some ways where you can get rid of that debt. And some of you that don't even know, you're not even sure how much debt you have. Well, that's the first step you want to take, is to find out how much debt you have. That is the very first step. So today we are going to talk about warning signs of credit trouble, how you can start with a plan, deleting that debt, and of course, avoiding predatory lending and subprime lending. Now, we all know debt can be very depressing. I know I had a point in my life when I was a lot younger where I was deep in debt. I really was. And I was extremely depressed. And when you have the debt, you get depressed, and it begins to really gnaw at you and really stop you from reaching those goals in your life that you want to reach. This feeling can be avoided by combining your savings with a debt management plan. So you always want to think about savings as well as a debt management plan. Now, a debt management plan is really simple to really be concentrated on. You have to think about it as, this is one step that I need to take in order to get myself healthy, myself financially healthy. Now, sometimes you gain a lot of weight, and it takes a lot of work sometimes to lose that weight. But when you do, believe me, you feel so refreshed. Now, managing debt is knowing what you have and tracking your income and expenses. You need to write down your debt. First step, most important. Now, I did attach a debt worksheet to this presentation, so if you were able to download it, great. If not, you will still have a chance to download it, but I want you to download it. I want you to take it, I want you to write on it and write down all of your debt, every bit of it. You want to write down what you owe, because by seeing your debt on paper, you can get a clearer picture of what you need to do in order to delete your debt. Also, track what you have. That's the next step. You want to know what's coming in, right? What is coming in? Take into account any furlough days or days you may not receive income. You want to track that, because you want to know, this is what's coming in, this is what's going on out, and this is what I need to do in order to get rid of that debt. And we're going to go over all of that. But the most important thing is be kind to yourself. Yes, you have some debt. Yes, it happens. Be kind to yourself. Know that it's going to be that it's going to be okay, that you're going to get out of this debt situation. All it's going to take is some dedication by you, some belief by you, and take those baby steps forward in order to get yourself out of debt. But you need to see it. You need to say, okay, I have some debt trouble. I have some problems. That's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up over it, because again, it's so important to know you have to be kind to yourself. You may have some slip ups during the time you're trying to get out of it, but it's okay. What I want you to do is take a look at these warning signs. I want you to think to yourself, and really think to yourself, be honest with yourself too. How many of these warning signs do I feel that are actually something that actually is happening to me? Are you paying only the minimum due? Are you charging more than you pay monthly? I want you to count these now. Are you charging what you used to buy with cash? Is the balance on, let's say, your credit cards not decreasing? Is it just staying the same or going higher? Are you approaching your credit limit and applying for more credit? Are you needing a loan to pay debt? Do you not know how much you owe? Some of you actually checked that box already. Are you feeling stressed out? Have you drained your savings? Maybe you attacked your retirement account. Are you making some payments late? So by a show of hands, on your hands, if you could maybe raise your hand if you have 4 of these. If 4 of these actually resonate to you, raise your hand. Again, no one else is going to know. So raise your hand if 4 of these relate to you. Yep, we have some hands going up. Okay, so if you see 4 of these are something that is happening to you, you have debt trouble and you are in the right place. Now, if you have 1 to 3 of these, raise your hands. If 1 or 3 of these relate to you, okay, the rest of the hands are going up. Well, you are getting close to having a debt problem. So again, you are definitely in the right place. Now, once you do have yourself in a good budget, you can find extra money to pay extra towards your debt. I want you to never, ever pay the minimum due. So for instance, on your credit cards, if your bill says the minimum payment is $125 and that's all you pay, your debt is going to take forever for you to get rid of. Always add the minimum due plus whatever the interest is. So if the interest of that $125 is $75, you're going to pay the $125 plus an additional $75 for $200. Your debt is going to go away a lot faster that way. And also on some of these other ones, if you charge on your credit card to cover what you must, as you're short, or if you're finding yourself, your balance is never decreasing, you need to kind of create your budget. And I did attach a budget book to the workshop as well. So definitely print that out too. Make sure that your budget, you can adjust it. We're going to talk about that too. Never spend more than you bring in, ever. Whatever you're bringing in, that's what you're going to budget yourself to send out, okay? So you may have to make some adjustments, like maybe lowering your cable bill, or maybe eliminating going to the gym or getting those nails done, okay? Now, if you're close to the limit on your credit cards, and so you say, oh, you know what, I'm close to the limit, so now I'm going to get another credit card, so I have this extra money. Credit cards is not extra money. Credit cards is money you're borrowing. So you want to make sure that you don't think of it as, oh, that's money I have. I'll tell you a story about my daughter. My daughter was 18 years old, and I got her a $300 credit card. I did what's called a secured credit card, to where I put $300 in a savings account, got the credit card for her. Well, it was in her name. She was all excited, went out, got some Chinese food, went and bought a couple outfits, was paying it, was doing good. But then all these people were sending her credit card applications. She wasn't reading it. She thought, this is free money. She signed up for every one of them. I was not aware of it, obviously. And she went out with her friends, and her friends were short on cash, so She used her credit card so they could borrow money from her. Did they pay her back? Of course not. They didn't pay her back. So she came to me at 19 years old, and she was over $10,000 in debt already because she looked at those credit cards as extra cash that she could go out and spend and get everything she wanted. And that's not how it was. So always remember, a new credit card should not be a way of just having extra cash. And it's very important, again, that writing down everything you owe and looking at it, like I had said before. The other thing is you want to make sure your payments are on time. It's always a good idea to set yourself a reminder. Set yourself up on auto pay. And then with the auto pay, make sure that you set an alarm 3 days before it's due. So that way you remember, so you can look at your account to make sure the money's there, because the last thing you want to do is overdraw your account. So make sure you double check that as well. And the last thing is stress. Many people do have stress when it comes to worrying about their bills. It just happens. So you always want to think about the fact that money does not buy happiness, but study does show that it can impact your health. And money also does not buy love. A lot of times we'll go out and we will buy for our significant other the most expensive thing we can think of. And the holidays are coming up. So, oh, I've got to buy the biggest, best, most brightest present that I possibly can. You do not. Most people don't remember what you gave them a year later. And when it comes to your kids, buying stuff for your kids, all your kids really want is your time. And that costs nothing. They want to see you come to their recital or their play or their sporting event. They want to sit down and watch a TV program with you, play a board game. That's all your kids really want. Those big exotic presents, and I'll lay you 5 billion to 1 that you do not remember the gifts that your parents gave you, maybe 1 or 2 of them when you were young. I think I have one that I really remember, and it was a little hand puppet that my mom didn't spend much on. And that was my favorite present of all times, and I still remember it. But she didn't buy a big fancy thing for me. So think about the fact that until you're out of this debt problem, you don't have to buy love. Okay? Now, 6 in 10 adults mention financial health, financial fears as a significant source of their personal stress. And that is according to the American Psychology Association with the APA. Now, signs of financial stress can include things like worrying and feeling anxious about money, arguing with loved ones about money, feeling guilty when you spend money on non-essential items, being afraid to answer the phone or open your mail, putting your head in the sand like an ostrich. Financial stress manifests itself in numerous physical conditions like mood disorders, migraines, cardiovascular disease, insomnia, and so much more. Now, being in a state of unease and anxiety about finances, like living paycheck to paycheck, this increases the body's cortisol level. Now, if you don't know what cortisol is, cortisol plays an important role in a number of things your body does. For example, managing how your body uses carbohydrates, fat, protein, inflammation, it keeps it down, regulates your blood pressure, increases your blood sugar, your glucose, controls your sleep and wake cycles. It boosts your energy so you can handle stress and restores your balance back to normal after the stress situation is over. Okay, it brings everything down. It calms everything down. Your heart, your blood pressure, your body systems, everything goes back to normal. But what if you're under a constant stress and the alarm button never turns off? If you're concerned about paying your bills, living paycheck to paycheck, what about my future? Am I going to have a future? Am I going to be able to retire ever? This puts you at risk for anxiety, depression, digestive problems, headaches, heart disease, sleep problems, weight gain, memory and concentration impairment. But this, of course, can be turned around by having a good debt management plan. No matter what you make, whether it be minimum wage or $6,000 a month, doesn't matter. You can relieve stress if you create yourself a budget, put yourself on a good debt management plan, and really go head on into reducing your debt. And also speaking with a financial counselor. Always a good idea. Talk to somebody about it, your particular situation. Now, LAPFCU does partner with Balance to offer you free, confidential financial counseling with a certified counselor. I'm going to give you the number, but I'm also going to give it to you at the end of the presentation. It will be written on at the end. But the number is 888-456-2227. I want every single one of you to give Balance a call because it's free. Can't beat free, confidential, and we are a nonprofit, by the way. Okay, now the best place to start in order to get yourself out of that situation is with a plan. I want all of you to have a plan. I want you to write it down, okay? To manage and reduce your debt is to start with a plan. You want to ask yourself, and I want you to write everything down. What is my debt? Where does it come from? Who is it that I owe? How much do I owe? What are the interest rates? Again, you want to make sure you write that down. What is my debt? Where does it come from, right? Did it come from me just buying things arbitrarily because I could buy things? Or was it because I really needed something? Where did my debt really come from? And what kind of interest rate do I have? I want you to look at it, write it down and look at it and own it. Okay? Then you want to ask yourself, what steps do I want to take to get out of this debt? And I'm going to give you some. Maybe consolidation. Would consolidating that debt make sense to you? Okay. Would transferring it to a 0% interest rate card, would that make sense? Would consolidating into a unsecured loan or maybe using my home as a way of doing it? What would make the most sense for me? We're going to go through all of these. But the first thing you want to do is you want to get a spending plan. You want to use your income and subtract what you spend each month. Okay, you want to fill out that form that I gave to you. Okay, and when you do create a spending plan, these are the 4 things that need to be on that spending plan. 1, your needs. Okay, you want to put down your needs. What are needs? Okay, needs are like the roof over your head, water, garbage, food, electricity. Those are needs, the basic life living needs. It's not getting your nails done or going to the gym. Those are not needs, okay? The next thing is that you want to put down your debt. Put down who you owe. Is it an auto loan, credit cards, personal loan, whatever it happens to be, write them down on how much they are. And that's the next thing that you want to take out. Third thing is savings. I don't care if you're putting $1 into savings or $500 into savings, whatever you can afford, but you want to put something into your savings account each month. And the last thing is your wants. What are wants? Again, going to the gym, getting that latte, going to a fast food restaurant. Those things are all wants. And those are the last things that you want to put into your spending plan. Now, if you do spend more than you earn, it's time to adjust. The first thing you want to take off is those wants. Eliminate them and move them on up to the things that you're removing, okay? Ask yourself and be really honest. What can I adjust? What is more important? And you want to look at the fact is taking a grocery list, for instance, to the grocery store. Now, the grocery store and department stores are really good because they put those beautiful shiny things right there in front of your face that they think that you want, or that 2-for-1 deal. And they do that so that way you grab something you don't need. So when you go to this grocery store, and it's been proven, people that go to the grocery store with a list spend less money at the grocery store, but they still eat really good. So bring a grocery list. Or if you're going to the department store, write down what you plan to buy. That way, when you go to the department store, you're not buying into those wonderful things that they sort of like put sparkly lights around for you. So watch for those. And it's also best to track what you're spending every month. Spend at least 30 minutes to make sure that your debt is being attended to. Now, you need to accelerate your debt. And one way to accelerate your debt is repaying them is to pay extra. You should only do this if you are comfortable meeting all of your debt and other obligation, the needs. So if the needs can be covered and the debt can be covered with their minimum payment, then you can accelerate your debt by paying extra to them. Okay? And I'm not talking about your wants. Your wants are not something that's essential. Okay? If you do have multiple accounts, it's better to be systematic and focus on your extra payments on one creditor at a time instead of spending a little extra to everyone. Now, many people like to start with the debt with the lowest balance because it can be paid off the soonest. And hey, I got one paid off. Yay, right? No, you really will save the most money by starting with the debt with the highest interest rate. So figure out which one. That's why when you're writing down your interest rates, you want that highest one at the top. So the one with the highest interest rate is where you want to put your extra money. Now, debt repayment can also be accelerated by finding ways to accelerate it by lowering the interest rates. Now, sometimes there's some creditors out there, especially right now with COVID going on, that will lower your interest rate. So if you call them up and say, hey, can I get my interest rate lowered? And you'll be surprised. By asking them, they will do it. Sometimes in some cases. Now they won't do it if you've been late on payments or if your credit score is really bad, but it's still better to ask and be denied than not ask and never know if they would have done it. So call your creditors and ask them if they'll lower the interest rate. And usually it's on credit cards. Most times it's not on things like personal loans and auto loans. I'm going to show you what I mean by this. So let's show you what I mean. So let's just say that you have a $5,000 debt at 18% interest, making a $100 payment. How long do you think that's going to get to pay you off? How long do you think it's going to take to pay that off? So I want to see what you guys think. So go ahead and answer my poll for me. How long do you think it's going to take you to pay that off? 4 years, 5 months, 7 years, 9 months, 15 years, 4 months? What do you think? Okay, I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. See what you guys said. Okay, so yeah, you guys are all over the board, but you at the 50%, 7 years, 9 months. I'm glad it doesn't take that long. It does take, though, screen will change sometime. There we go, 7 years, 9 months. So yes, it takes 7 years, 9 months, and you would pay, look how much you're going to be paying in interest though, $9,311. Just to pay $5,000 off at 18% interest. Now that $100 is representing the minimum payment. This is just an example. But guess what? If you added $50 to that payment, look what happens. Look how much money you're saving. You're only going to pay a little close to $22,000 in interest, but 3 years, 10 months, you get rid of that debt just by putting an extra $50 to the payment. Now, what if you were able to get the interest rate lowered? Paid the same $100 minimum payment, but look how much money you're saving there. You're saving tons of money. And even if you put that extra $50 to it, hey, look at that. You are actually getting it paid off in 3 years, 3 months, and only paying $882. I'll get that. So as you can see, paying extra or trying to get that interest rate lowered is going to save you money and, most importantly, time. But we're going to just pretend that you put that extra $50 in, paid the 18%, 3 years, 10 months. That's what you did. So what you want to do is you want to take that highest interest rate credit card once again, or loan, And that's what you want to pay the extra money to. But when you're done, it doesn't mean you have that extra $150. You want to put that towards the next debt. So you have $150, you add it to the next debt, which as you can see, it's only $2,395 on this debt, 9% interest. You've been paying $90 a month during that 3 years, 10 months. So that's why you only owe $23.95. But what will happen? You put the $150 plus the $90, making $240 of that payment, and you got that one paid off in 11 months. So you could literally be completely out of debt if those were the only two items you had in 4 years, 9 months. Versus, how long did that one take? 7 years? And you're only going to be paying $2,087 in interest, which is a big savings. So again, put a little bit of extra towards it, and you're going to find yourself saving yourself a world of money. Now, if you do have a decent credit score, you could also look into transferring the balances to lower the rate. So you can go to like a low rate credit card, or you could get a consolidation or a home equity loan. Now you got to be really careful though that if you do these things, if you transfer the money into another credit card, consolidation, or home equity, make sure and be careful not to charge up the old accounts again. You need to discipline yourself and say, no, that's not free money. That's money I have to pay back. I don't want that again. Okay, so the very last option that you can apply for is a debt management plan. Now, a debt management plan is a government regulated program in which many creditors will give you lower rates in exchange for closing your accounts and going through a counseling. Now, this should be your very last option. They advertise it on TV, but don't buy into those, okay? Because you want to buy into something that LAPFCU offers, which is through Balance. And Balance does offer the debt management plan for you, but again, it must be a good fit for you or Balance will not give you one. Because we want to make sure that it's something that you can't handle your debt by yourself, then we will definitely get you into a debt management plan. But again, that's the last resort, okay? And that's only if you can't control your debt on your own. But what you really want to consider first is the consolidation route, because that's the route that's the safest way for you to get out of debt quickly. A debt consolidation is the process of taking out a new, more affordable loan. Usually people consider it when their debt becomes too expensive to afford. Now, this does not include, of course, your mortgage, unless you're doing a refinance on your mortgage. Now, applying for a personal loan with a low interest rate is perhaps the most common way to consolidate your debt. Although, again, you can also transfer your balances to a new credit card with a 0% introductory rate. Just make sure that if you do that, that you pay it off before the promotional rate expires, or determined by what we did before, if the rate after the introductory rate will actually save you some money. Now, consolidation can be an effective tactic, but to make sure it's the right choice for you, here are some questions. There's questions here that you should ask yourself. Does it reduce your overall payment? To do this, guess what? We get to do math again, okay? You're going to calculate your interest rates. You're going to add all of your interest rates together and divide it by the number of accounts you have, okay? So I'm going to show you some math here again. I love math. So if you have 4 credit cards and 1 auto loan and the total that you owe is $15,000, you're going to take each of the items, all the interest rates, and you're going to divide it by the number of cards and loans you have. Again, do not include your mortgage. So the 4 credit cards have a rate of 6%, 19%, 25%, and 0%. 1 auto loan, 17%. So you add them up, you get that 67, and divide it by the 5, which is the 4 credit cards and the 1 auto loan, that's 5, is 13.4. Now you know 13.4 is the interest rate you want to go for. If you find by consolidating that your interest rate is going to be 13.4, it will be a good move for you. More than likely, if the other two answers are yes on those. If the rate is over 13.4%, it still may make sense to you, depending on how you answer the other two questions we're going to ask. If it's like at 14 or 16%, it depends, especially if you can put extra towards it, if it's the only way that you can actually control your debt. So let's look at the next question on here. So the next question is, does it help with money management? And that's an important question. Will it help with your money management? Will having one payment make more sense for you? Okay, so if the rate is just a little bit higher and this question is yes, it'll help me manage what I'm doing, then yes, it makes more sense. So even if you consolidate, let's say you decide, okay, you know what, the rate is going to be at 16.5%. If I remove that 0% and pay that one on my own, that 0% interest rate card that we had in the example, that would mean I'd be at 16.75%. So maybe I'll do that. So look what makes sense to you. Okay. And lastly, is it a quick fix or a long-term solution? If you consolidate, can you discipline yourself to avoid charging up again what you've just paid off? Again, if you have a good money management plan and only use what comes in, no more goes out, then you should be okay with that. Because if you use your credit card and then you pay it off in the same month, yeah, you get those points, which can be money, equal money. But just make sure you don't charge it and forget to pay it, or charge it and say, oh, I can pay that later, it's free money. No, it's not. So if you believe you can achieve it. If you think that if you have those credit cards that are burning a hole in your pocket, take the credit cards, put them in a glass of water, throw them in the freezer, and let them freeze, because it takes a while to chisel them down. Leave your credit cards at home. Okay? And again, if you use them, make sure that you train yourself to use and pay. Now, also, you want to communicate with your creditors. This is really important. You want to make sure that your head's not buried in the sand, because those letters are coming in and those phone calls are coming in. Make sure you talk to them. It's really an important step. You need to get yourself current on all of the debt you have. So if you have debt, you want to call them and see if they can do an extension, a deferment, a modification. Or if you are planning to do a consolidation, you need to find out what the balance is. How much do I owe you? So that way you can pay them off in full. Okay? If your electricity or your mortgage or water is late, give them a call. Ask them what steps you can take to get out of that debt, because you don't want to be in debt with the things that are needs as well. Okay, so make sure you get a hold of all of them and find out. So if you are doing a line of credit, or maybe a mortgage refi, or a credit card transfer to pay off in full everything else, but then you have that one credit card that you're paying off that you're paying extra to. So whatever avenue it is you're taking, it's so important to stay current with everything that you have. Call them, remain calm, remain polite, but also write everything down. The name of the person you talk to, the time that you're talking to them, the date, and kind of what was said. So make sure that you talk to all your creditors so that they know what you're planning to do, that you're going to get yourself out of debt. And again, you do need to control your spending. That's the last and most important step. In order for your budget to be helpful, you need to follow it. In order for your debt management to be handled, you need to follow it. If you consolidate your debt, you need to avoid getting back into the same situation. I know that can be it's as easily said than done. Again, when that shiny new item is in the store and you're looking and staring at it. Let me give you some tips, okay? So in order to control your spending urges and prevent the overuse of plastic, in places where you may be worried that you're going to overspend, leave your debit and credit cards at home. Just bring cash. You can't spend more cash than you have. Now, my dad one time a while ago, we went on a cruise, and I love my dad. And we went to the casino. And going to the casino, my dad says, "Okay, how much you bringing with you?" And I says, "I'm bringing my credit card." And he says, "Why?" He taught me, leave it at home, grab some cash, go, you can buy chips with cash. So he only brings $20 when he went gambling. And we had the most fun. Gambling is not a get rich quick, nor is bingo. These are entertainments. So in your entertainment budget, you're going to want to take that. And that's all you're going to spend is that. So if you're going gambling or playing bingo or any of those things to where you could potentially be throwing cash out constantly, bring what you want to spend and only what you want to spend. Okay. And also, if let's say you want to avoid shopping as a social activity, now it's very easy to get sucked up with the excitement of buying something when you're with a friend, but make a plan ahead of time. So important. Plan how much, if anything, that you can spend. And that's all you're going to spend. Is say, this is how much I can spend. I have $15 allotted to go shopping with my friend. Or I plan to buy a new outfit and this is how much I want to spend on it. And then you can go try on a bunch of clothes or what have you, or whatever it happens to be. If you're going to the car store and you're going to buy a whole bunch of parts, auto parts store, I guess is what it is. And you want to buy all these auto parts. Figure out exactly how much you want to spend before you go. If you plan ahead of time, you won't spend as much. Okay? And every time you are going to purchase something, say to yourself, do I really need this? No, it's not a need, it's a want. Walk away. If 24 hours later you really want it still, yeah, figure out if you can afford it and go back and get it. But my mom always did tell me, walk out of the store, count to 10, and then you forget it. If you forgot about it, it's not important. Okay? And the last thing is that you need to always set yourself up with small, affordable rewards for sticking to your debt management plan. You know, debt management is like dieting. If you don't leave room for a little bit of indulgence, it's going to be really hard to stick with it. Now, this is one thing that I really want to talk to you guys about. It's so important. This is like one of the most important things, and that's predatory lending. Some financial services that cater to the subprime market are considered predatory. Predatory lenders deceptively convince borrowers to agree to unfair and abusive loans or credit terms. Now, the interest rates and fees for these products are often usually high, far greater than prime, and the terms make it difficult for borrowers to repay the debt. For secured creditor loans, if you're late, they take your property very quickly and aggressively. While predator loans may target lower income and minority borrowers and cash-strapped senior citizens, people from every ethnic group, age range, neighborhood, and income and education level are victims to that. So by a raise of hands, have any of you ever bought something, or rather got a loan because you saw something on the internet? If you saw something on the internet, raise your hand. I am proud of everybody. Okay, yep, a few of you. I'm glad that you were very honest about that because it does happen. It does. I have a friend, and my friend felt like she was at the end of a rope. And sometimes some of you may feel that way. But again, you take those steps, you're going to be okay. You really are. But she thought she was at the end of a rope. It was like that little cat that you see in some posters where there's a rope and it's just by the claws are hanging onto that rope. And that's how she felt because she had to pay her rent. And she didn't know where she was going to get the $2,000 to pay because she was behind. And she needed $2,000 or she might be kicked out. And she was at the end of her rope. And voila, on the internet, it says, everyone's approved. Up to $5,000. She applied for $2,000 only because she knew that's all I need is $2,000. So she applied for it. And of course, she's approved for it. She signs the contract, and about maybe 15 minutes later, she gets an email saying, hey, we reevaluated, we can give you $3,000. So quickly she signed it like, oh, an extra $1,000 I can put in the bank, yay. And she signed. And once she signed it, she had already set it up on auto pay, so it automatically comes out of her account. And $250 came out of her account on the next payday. And the very next payday, there was another $250. That's $500 a month. And the loan she took out was for 3 years for $3,000. Yeah, 500 times 12 times 3 years is a lot of money. Yeah, she knew she was actually had. She knew that she had gotten herself into a 390% interest rate, APR, annual percentage rate. So be really careful, read everything. Now, a federal law called the Truth in Lending Act ensures that all lenders disclose their loans or credit card terms in the application contract. So if you're seeking a loan or credit card, be sure to read the contract and understand the terms before signing any agreement. Now, if you believe that the lender is unlawfully changing the terms, they misled you, maybe they added a product you didn't agree to or coerced you into accepting a credit product that maybe has worse terms than you thought you were qualified for, you need to contact the Federal Trade Commission and file a complaint. The information's right there in front of you. Write it down. Keep it handy. FTC complaintassistant.gov, or you can call them at 1-877-382-4357. Now, it's very important to keep in mind that not all subprime loans and lines of credit are predatory in nature. If the interest rate is high and the terms are poor, it may be because the lender is taking a risk in lending you money. Remember, prime credit is typically reserved for those that have good financial circumstances and are stable, okay, and have long positive credit history. But predatory lending is really high interest rates, way above the prime. 390%, that's way above the prime. Okay, so really be careful with those. Now, there are other subprime lenders outside of financial institutions like payday loans, and those were those little stores that you see, and they say, oh, we're going to give you a payday loan, and that's really all they do is payday loans. These are different, where you write them a check for $115 to get $100 in your pocket, and 2 weeks later they say, oh, you want to continue with that? We'll give you another $100, and then we'll take $245 out of your account. Those are payday loans. And they really do range up to 390% interest rate. So again, a payday loan is not the way to go. Always turn to your financial institution, not those little payday loans. Okay. Also, you also want to be careful with car title loans because you really need the money, and you see these things advertised that say, you use your car as collateral because you've paid it off completely, and we'll give you a 30-day loan, but you have to pay us back. Now, again, these are outside of the normal financial institutions that you see, like LAPFCU. Outside of them, they'll give you a no longer than 30-day loan. Their whole goal is for you to not pay them back. They give you $1,000 on a $15,000 vehicle, and they want you not to pay that $1,000 back because they're going to come and take your car. And again, the APRs are usually extremely high on those. So if it sounds too good to be true, and if it's something where you get money fast, you really don't want to do it. You want to take 2 steps back and figure out a more conventional way, because there are ways out. Even if you have bad credit, there are honest ways out to where you're not paying an arm and a leg and getting in a worse situation. A pawn shop. I had the clarinet. I played the clarinet when I was in elementary and high school. I was in marching band, college. While I was in college, I needed some money. So I went to a pawn shop. And when I went to the pawn shop, they gave me $15 for my clarinet, which was worth a lot more. I had to come back and give them $40 to get my clarinet back. And I had to do it within 30 days. I didn't do it. I lost my clarinet. They sold it for probably $150. And I still to this day regret that. So if you ever do decide to go to a pawn shop to pawn something, pawn it to sell it to them instead, even though they will give you less than what it's worth. Because believe me, they want you to not come back for the money to pay them back. Okay, so be real careful with that as well. Okay, so take your steps. Figure out exactly what you owe. Write it all down. Own it. Look at it. Say, I got here. You know what? It's okay. A lot of people were in the same boat as me. I can get out of this. Figure out which option you want to take. You want to pay a little bit extra towards the most expensive interest rate and just take those baby steps and step up. Or maybe, do you want to look at maybe consolidating? And by consolidating, you get rid of the debt. But if I do that, I will not get back in debt again. I will always use and pay from then on. You want to be patient with yourself because believe me, you are going to have some hiccups. Everybody does. Everyone has a few hiccups here and there. You want to take a moment and call Balance at 888-456-2227. Balance, again, is a nonprofit service organization that LAPFCU partners with for you because they care about you and your financial health. And also, make sure you talk to LAPFCU because they are in your corner 100%. They are there for you. And speaking of LAPFCU, I would like to introduce Sylvia Becerra because she's got some great information for you on services that they have available to help you reduce and eliminate your debt. Sylvia, are you there?
Hi, Colleen, I'm here. Good evening. My name is Sylvia Becerra. I'm the Consumer Lending Supervisor, and I've been with LAPFCU for over 20 years, and I'm here to go over some of our secured and unsecured loan products that we currently offer. Okay, so we currently have the lifestyle loan. This loan is a closed-in term loan that can be used for many purposes. Think of it as an all-purpose personal loan. But many of our members like it because it can help to consolidate multiple debts into one closed-in loan. Instead of making several payments to multiple lenders and credit card companies, the beauty of this loan is that it enables you to combine and pay down unsecured debt into one monthly payment. You can select a term ranging from anywhere from 48 to 84 months, and our rates are as low as 9.15% to 17.65%. Of course, the longer the term, the lower your payment will be on this. So if you're trying to reduce your monthly payments, you go with the longer terms, and we do finance up to 84 months. You can even pay more than your minimum monthly payment to pay it off sooner, and there's no prepayment penalties. We also offer unsecured line of credit, which works like a credit card without the plastic, and that's considered an opened-in line of credit. We have Visa Platinum credit cards that features the ability to do a balance transfer and pay off other high-interest credit cards. Unlike balance transfers associated with other credit cards, we don't charge a processing fee, and you can enjoy a 0% interest rate for 6 months on newly approved cards, as well as earn reward points for every dollar you transfer. We also offer first and second mortgage loans. If you're a homeowner and have equity in your property, you could apply for a home equity loan or first mortgage loan to refinance with LAPFCU and select to take cash out in order to pay down some of your higher interest rate debt. Rates are extremely low right now. Once you have access to the extra cash, we recommend you using that extra cash to pay down your outstanding debt that you have elsewhere. We have shared secured loans. If you have any money saved but don't want to use it, you could. It's a savings pay down debt balance because you could keep a cushion for emergencies. Another option is borrowing against your savings, and this is a form of a shared secured loan. We'll basically loan you the money that's identical to what's in your current savings account. We'll place a hold on that money until you pay us back. With every payment you make, your savings will be released. The benefit of this loan is the rate is extremely low, and think of it like you're loaning yourself money to pay off your debt. Additionally, this will be a new trade line on your credit card. I'm sorry, credit report. So you have the opportunity to build, establish, or even reestablish positive credit. Another popular loan that isn't on this slide that we offer are vehicle loans that can be used as a vehicle equity loan. And this is a loan using a vehicle that's nearly paid off or completely paid off that you can refinance and cash out the equity on the vehicle up to the retail value of the vehicle. And this equity can be used to consolidate outstanding debts with higher interest rates. Those are some of our loan products you can take advantage of. If you'd like to learn more information about any of these loan products mentioned, or if you'd like to apply, please visit lapfcu.org, or you may also call us at 877-695-2732, or stop by any of our branches. I would like to thank you guys for joining us today, and I will be turning this over to Colleen, where both of us, Natalie, will be on hand to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Sylvia, for the great information. So appreciate it. And this is, again, one way you can consolidate. Again, LAPFCU is definitely in your corner for that. So those are the steps that you can take. So if anybody has any questions at all, go ahead and write them in the question box, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have about maybe the steps that you can take to eliminate your debt with the STEP program or with the consolidation. Does anybody, or if you have questions to Sylvia at all, anybody have any questions? Okay. Give you a second. Well, I thank you guys very much. Okay, so I do want to thank you all for attending. I so appreciated you being here. Again, I am with Balance. Balance is a financial education and counseling service. Free services to members include money management counseling, debt repayment options, and credit report review, and a lot more. You can call Balance again at toll-free 888-456-2227 or visit lapfcu.balancepro.org. There's a whole world of resources in there, and there's resources in there that help you manage your debt as well. So definitely take a look at that. And of course, you can definitely reach out to LAPFCU at 877-695-2732 or visit their site at lapfcu.org. They are definitely there in your corner to reach out to you. And if you have any questions at all, definitely reach out to us. We are always going to be here for you. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I hope you have a great, healthy, and safe evening. Take care, and thank you.